Right.
Mike Wallace is there. So what happened?
Yeah, he was so engaging, so friendly and nice, and he was there to watch the All-Star game. I was there to cover it. He flew down from D.C. because he grew up in Brookline, Massachusetts, and it was a special All-Star game, Mike. It was the 1999 All-Star game. The team of the century was there. It was unbelievable. As a reporter, I got a chance to talk to Willie Mays, Juan Marichal, Willie Stargell, Al Kaline, on and on and on. But he came down because he grew up in Boston. He was a big Red Sox fan. So before the game, and we're sitting together in this press box seat, they start introducing all of the stars. Pete Rose even got a special dispensation to show up for this team of the century introduction. So they're introducing all the players. The last player to be introduced was Ted Williams, Boston Red Sox. And he's in his 80s, he's in the golf cart, they're wheeling him in, and we're all watching, and all of a sudden, I feel this heaviness on my shoulder. Mike Wallace has collapsed onto my shoulder, crying like a baby. And his administrators and his assistants came running over like, what's wrong, what's wrong? He said, nothing, it's just, that's my hero, Ted Williams. And so, I was consoling and helping.
What did you say to him?
I just said, hey, it's okay. I mean, Willie Mays was my childhood hero, and I could understand what he was feeling, but I'm not sure what else was going on in his mind. But I had Mike Wallace crying on my shoulder, the tough dude, And every time, the 2 times I met him, he was so gracious. In Salem, when he came for the 60 Minutes interview with Tom McCall, I showed up outside the door, and they were in the middle of setting up like you guys were earlier here. He said, come on in, get what you want. And he asked me some questions, where'd you go to school, what do you want to do? And same thing here when I showed up. What's it like to be a reporter in Seattle covering Major League Sports? And he was always curious and interesting and interested. And but to have Mike Wallace, the guy that you've seen in all those videos, show up at the car dealership, wherever there was fraud going on, he was the guy, and he was a tough cookie. But that was a memory I'll never forget. Here I've got this guy on my shoulder crying, and so it was very memorable.
Were you able to stay for the McCall interview that he did?
I wasn't. They were very friendly, but when it was time to get to work, but then I had to get back and at that time process the film and get ready for KVDO TV.
So you never saw this great interrogator then?
Well, no, and I think the piece with McCall was a rather puff piece regarding how, what an eccentric governor we had, what a maverick, from his comments about, what was it, come visit but don't live here or something like that, and also the bottle bill. That was the main reason they were doing the story. But yeah, I just saw, I think I got to see the real Mike Wallace. Not that he's a fake Mike Wallace, but the average person Mike Wallace who was a baseball fan that day, and actually reverted maybe back to his childhood a little bit, because that was his guy. And there's a special thing between your childhood baseball hero, and no matter what happens throughout life, Willie Mays is still alive, but I keep tabs on where he is. May 6th, he will be 81 years old. So, and he's still alive.
His confessional.
You were a Mantle. Yeah. You grew up a Yankee fan? Yeah. Sorry.
That's what Mike would have said too.
No, but when he the word came out, and everybody finds out, I found out on Twitter that he passed away, those things flashed in my mind. Gosh, but what a great example of a journalist who would dig and who would not stop to get to the bottom of the story. I mean, what a great example for, I think, our generation of those of us who've been in the media. This is
great to hear you share the other side of that figure that we see pinning people to the wall.
Yeah, well, he was bawling like a baby, and of course he did that to many people, but in a different way. They were crying because they knew that the feds were going to show up and put him in cuffs or something. Anyway, it was a great memory for me.
Good. I think that's fine.
Great.
I need a listing shot of Mike. So go ahead.
Oh yeah. And they do a morning show on 1080, which is syndicated through ESPN.
Oh, so that's where it originates.
Yeah, it's a sports show, and it originates at in Connecticut now, Bristol, where ESPN is. Which basically ESPN is so East Coast biased too when it comes to covering things. I'm going to keep an eye on to see if they even mention the Jared Cunningham situation today, because they did with a Kansas player. We'll see if they mention Oregon State, because the Pac-12 is, they just don't get the coverage.
Yeah.
But they're going to, I think, with the new Pac-12 network.
Their
gonna,
own coverage.
yeah, at least they'll have their own access, and they're going to go through.
Have those stars like they used to with UCLA.
Kevin Love was the last one down there,
Right.
and he was one and done. And he's a great player, and the Blazers really blew it by not getting him.
Do you think, I mean, honestly, don't you think this will hurt Oregon State to lose Jared Cunningham?
Absolutely. With him, they would have maybe even had a chance to make it to the NCAAs next year. Now, maybe another CBI tournament, you know, because they've